if criticizing Israel is anti-Semitism, that would require Israel to be a non-democratic ethno-state. Because if to criticize the entire state is anti-Semitism, that would require the population to be all Jews. But there are multiple ethnic groups that reside within Israel, which means they don't have representation, which means they're not a democracy, which means they are the antithesis of America, which is a pro-immigration democracy, whereas they are a ethno-state that's non-democratic. Now, some people will argue, America's not a pro-immigration country. We are. We put that shit on our currency, giving you're tired, you're poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore, send these the homeless tempest tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. We put that shit on our fucking currency. We are pro-immigration over here. You'll notice it doesn't say Jews and Jews only, because that is the dumbest way to form a fucking country, because that causes a monoculture. And monocultures are historically the worst cultures you can form because it doesn't have any intellectual variance, which means everyone's just huffing their own fucking farts, which will explain why whenever you see an Israeli PR person on the fucking TV, they sound completely disconnected from reality because they are living in a non-democratic ethno-state that is reminiscent of Nazi Germany. All right? So, if you're an American, that means you should be anti-Israel, and you should look at your politicians and ask, how come all of you fuckers are pro-Israel? Then you'll quickly realize how much money they're getting paid by Israel and by the weapons manufacturers and all the fucking war profiteers. And you'll quickly realize they don't have your best interest at heart. They don't have anyone's best interest at heart. Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer just want to make money. All right? So if you're an American and you love America and you love democracy and you love just good things in general, you should be fucking anti-Israel. And if you're a millennial, you should run for Congress against all of these fucking boomers who are sending our tax dollars overseas to a country that has free fucking healthcare when we don't. That's what we should be doing right now.
So most people know at this point that the US government gives Israel well over $3 billion a year, mostly for military expenditures. But did you also know that Israel has universal government-funded healthcare? Whereas in America, 45,000 people are dying every year because they lack access to basic healthcare services. So why is it that our politicians are okay with spending American tax money on Israeli healthcare, but they won't spend it on American healthcare? Well, first of all, the American insurance industry is one of the largest political lobbies in the country, and they're constantly bribing politicians and media not to go against their profit interests, as is the Israeli lobby, which lobbies US politicians on behalf of Israel. And another major lobby is the defense industry, the corporations who make weapons. And these guys are making a killing off of weapon sales to Israel, which are then used to slaughter thousands of children. And this kind of bribery is completely legal in America, so long as you call it lobbying. This has always been the case, but especially so since Citizens United passed through the Supreme Court in 2010. And this basically said that political spending by corporations should be protected by freedom of speech, which is just a contrived and manipulative way to use the US Constitution to legalize political bribery. American tax money should be invested in American taxpayers, not propping up the apartheid state of Israel.
Just your friendly reminder that we are not each other's enemy. We are not what's holding each other down. Between 2009 and 2022, guys, nothing has changed. Except that. And in case you need a reminder of the difference between a million, which most of us can't even imagine, and a million seconds is 12 days. A billion seconds is 31 years. Can you comprehend $1 billion, much less 265 of them? No, most of us can't. Let's quit fighting each other. Love y'all.
The government just announced that they want to take money from the IRS and send it to Israel. I'm going to talk about the implications of this, but first let's talk about what's actually happening. This morning, the House Rules Committee, which is part of the House of Representatives, called for $14 billion to be taken from the IRS and given to Israel. This money is part of our ongoing effort to send aid to both Israel and the Ukraine and support U.S. allies throughout the world. The United States government has already passed billions of dollars to give to these two countries, and they really will probably keep doing this for the foreseeable future. Here's where things get a little bit more complicated, though. This past May, $79 billion was given to the IRS as an investment to help them get $180 billion in taxes out of Americans, and also to help with their customer support. And the reasoning for this was because the IRS is so behind with their technology and with their systems that if the federal government invested into them, they could hire new people, update their tech, and actually be able to get taxes from the American people and catch those who are basically not paying. Well, what politicians are saying now is that there's only so much money in the pool, and instead of allocating money towards the IRS, they want to allocate it elsewhere to help with our allies and our strategic partnerships. The world of politics is a complicated and stressful place, so you shouldn't pay any mind to it. That's why I like to stick to finance, tax, and real estate topics. But when stuff like this comes up, it's my duty to go and report it to you. So here's the story.
National Interest Foundation wants Americans to know how much of their tax dollars are going to Israel.
$3 trillion. That's including a massive amount of direct money to Israel, then a lot of hidden costs.
CNIF alleges Israel receives so much aid and special treatment because the U.S. Congress is controlled by AIPAC, America's pro-Israeli lobby. Executive Director Philip Girardi says Israel spends a lot of money on U.S. elections.
There are many Israeli PACs, and they do give a lot of money very selectively to congressmen that they want to support.
The Council for the National Interest Foundation says many members of Congress fear if they don't always side with Israel, that they will face retaliation in their own re-election campaigns.
If a congressman crosses the Israel lobby by voting against aid for Israel or voting against some legislation that Israel favors, they very often will find that the next time they're running for office, there will be a candidate put up against them who is very well funded.
Hired Lieutenant Colonel Karen Katalski works at the Pentagon and says Israel receives preferential treatment.
We do not question what the Israelis want.
Katalski believes America is beginning to take more interest in U.S. foreign policy in the Middle East, in large part due to tough economic times. More and more Americans want to know where their hard-earned tax dollars are going and why.
I'm not paying for my student loans because y'all got $100 billion to fund genocide.
Oh, go back and watch her entire thing. I agree. Don't pay your motherfucking student loan debt. Israel, who we give $11 million per day, they have free education, free university, free higher education. They have free health care. They've got a bunch of shit that they tell us that we can't afford over here, but we're paying for it over there. And the same piece of shit right now that promised that he was going to discharge student debt, when he helped write the bankruptcy bill that excluded student debt from being discharged in bankruptcy, there's a little clause in there saying, if you don't pay it, after we tell you that you can't discharge it for bankruptcy, we're going to deduct it out of your Social Security. Motherfucker planned ahead for all this stuff. Billions for war, billions for Israel, billions for Ukraine, billions for killing people in the Congo, but nothing for us. The motherfucker's got to go.
Almost all your taxes go to military installations on foreign bases, 800 of them, but no other country has a military base in America, cause it's a fear tactic, it's a fear tactic. We are a fascist police state, fascist police state.
We are out here because we are tired of our tax dollars going to kill children in another country. That is why we are out.